Hey everyone, I am Cory Lee, the brand ambassador and content manager here at Handiscover, and thank you so much for joining. This is going to be a really fun Facebook Live. We're going to be talking about one of my personal favorite destinations in the world, Helsinki, Finland. I've been fortunate to go to Helsinki twice over the past few years. I saw it in the winter for the first time, and it was covered in snow and beautiful. And then I went again in the summer. And so I've kind of experienced both polar seasons, and it's a beautiful destination that everyone should definitely explore. So we're going to be diving into everything that has to do with accessibility in Helsinki. So definitely stay tuned. And if you have a question, feel free to leave a comment and we will do our best to answer. So today, joining me are Sanna from the Finnish travel blog Palmuasema. I'm probably mispronouncing that. And then Leena is joining us from Visit Helsinki, the Helsinki Tourism Board. So thank you so much, Sanna and Leena, for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, and did I mispronounce your blog name?
It was quite good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Finnish is a bit tricky, but I've learned a couple of words. Yeah, but yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. As I said, Helsinki is a city that I love. I can't wait to visit in a post-pandemic world and explore more of the city. But to start us out, I guess Leena, can you tell us kind of the situation with coronavirus in Finland, and are the borders open to Finland, to other European countries, or what's that situation like?
Well, thank you for the invitation to be here to talk with you. It's very nice to be here. And the situation with the COVID-19 is it's been quite good here in Finland. We have had in an early stage quite restrictions. So the borders were closed, and we managed to keep the situation in control and flatten the curve. And it was the situation was handled really well, so that actually we've been able to return in quite normal lifestyle from the beginning of June. But the travel restrictions are still valid to most of the countries, with the recommendation to have a 2-week quarantine when you travel, and you can mainly travel for reasons for work. So we hope that the situation will change soon and we can travel more. But at the moment, we can still live quite regular life here in Helsinki and in Finland. The schools are going, and then if needed, as now it seems that the cases are increasing a bit more, there will be stronger restrictions and, for example, more recommendations on wearing masks in public spaces.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for that information. It's good to know. And while travel, is not necessarily possible or recommended right now, I hope that people can, watch this Facebook Live and then kind of start planning their adventures for 2021 when everything gets back to more normal, I hope.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of answers, so I want to say hello to Lisa Lawrence. Thank you so much for watching, Lisa. Good morning. And Michaela is watching from Finland, actually, from Turku. I guess that's how you say that, hopefully. Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. And if you have a comment or a question, feel free to leave your question in the comments and we will try to answer. And let's ask you, Sanna, if you want to start us out. What are some of your favorite outdoor experiences in Helsinki? I know that, with COVID-19, people are really trying to be outdoors more. And, with Finland, I think the weather can get a bit crazy in the winter and it does snow a lot. But I think, I visited in the winter and it was still beautiful and accessible outdoors. So I think it's a great outdoors destination. And if you could just maybe tell us a few of your favorite outdoor experiences.
Yes, Helsinki is very great outdoor city, outdoor destination. We have autumn at the moment, and it's very beautiful at the moment. The nature is amazing, and all the colors in the city center as well. So it's very beautiful. My favorite ones. I love the parks. Helsinki has lots of nice parks here. Esplanade Park, and also Kaivopuisto, which is like a quiet residential area, and there is a very nice promenade, follows the shoreline, and we have also very nice like nature things, nature parks. For example, in Lammassaari, there is very accessible nature trail. There is accessible like duck port there, and also very accessible bird watching platform. And it's very close to the city center. It's about 15 to 20 minutes by car. And when you go outside Helsinki a little bit, there are lots of, we have, for example, we have 40 national parks in Finland totally. And for example, 2 of them, Nuuksio National Park and Sipoonkorpi, are very close to Helsinki center. So it's very easy to reach them as well from the city center.
Yeah, and this is a photo of us at one of the national parks. We went to Nuuksio National Park, and we were able to, this was in the winter when I visited, so February of 2016, I believe, and they even had a sauna there, because the whole sauna culture in Finland it's quite something to experience. And so I was able to get in an accessible sauna there, and they had like a roll-in shower and everything. So it's really a fantastic place to visit. And they also even had a nature center, like museum there, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and during the summertime and autumn time, there is a nature trail leaving just from the nature center, so it's easy to reach that as well.
Awesome. And Leena, same question for you. What are some of your must-do outdoor attractions?
Well, I have to say that Sanna actually took my favorite one, because I live quite close by the Lammassaari, the natural tracks, and I quite often go there with my children, and they love to watch the birds and the area. It's kind of a swamp area, so it's quite different also from other areas by the seashore in Helsinki. So it's quite unique, and you feel like you completely left the city behind you, even though it's just few, like 100 meters behind you. But then I also love the islands, because Helsinki has hundreds of islands that form part of the city. Yeah. And the islands that are with the easiest access is Suomenlinna Maritime Fortress, that was built as a fortification in 1700s. In 1748, the construction started. It wasn't originally anyhow accessible. It was made to have a very hard access, actually. But as it's a very popular place to visit all year round, as you can see, you were there in the winter season with very cold and a lot of snow. They've been working on to make it more accessible for everyone, also with reduced mobility. So it's fun place. I used to work there actually years ago, full year round, and I fell in love with especially the winter season, when it's a bit more quiet. It's very unique atmosphere. You can sense the nature, the sea, but then also the history. And what's also the best thing is that it's also a residential area of Helsinki. So there are around 800 people who live year round there. And then you could see those little children from the daycare going home in the dark evenings with their torches in their hand. And you could actually see that it's a living place. It's a place, there's a library, and there's a school in the island. So I love that combination of the different characteristics of the place. So that's definitely my number one place. So yeah.
That would hands down definitely be my number one also. When I visited Helsinki, I mean, Suomenlinna, it was in the winter, and you do have to take a ferry over to Suomenlinna from downtown Helsinki. The ferry was completely accessible, and they even had an accessible route around Suomenlinna, and I had like a tour guide, and he followed the wheelchair accessible route and showed us around. And it's really a beautiful place. There is some cobblestone, which is a bit bumpy as a wheelchair user, but I feel like going in the winter, the snow was like over the cobblestone, so it made it even smoother to get around, I think. So it was really such a fantastic and one of the most beautiful places that I've ever visited. So I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, and it's also part of the public transport, the ferry connection. So it's also free of charge if you're with a wheelchair. So it is quite unique and very easy access in that sense as well. And there are also nice services, very nice cafes, recently opened new restaurant with very high quality food. And so yeah, it's a great place to visit.
Yeah, definitely. And since you talked about public transportation briefly, let's dive right into that. So getting around Helsinki, I found it extremely easy. I think that it's one of the easiest cities in the world to get around because the public transportation is accessible and there are also even accessible taxis. And so when I was in Helsinki, we used accessible taxis pretty frequently and we could just, call and one would always show up within 20 to 30 minutes the whole time that I was there. So it was really an efficient taxi service, which is better than most places that I've visited around the world. So, Sanna, can you talk a little bit about your experience as a local wheelchair user with the public transportation?
Yeah, you already mentioned taxis. That's true that we have, I don't know how many, but maybe a few hundreds of accessible taxis around Helsinki. So it's really easy to get one. You can book at once, or you can usually get one very quickly. But also the metro is totally accessible. That's my favorite because it's so easy. We have trams on this, like on this photo. You can see that the middle part of the tram is it looks a bit different, even if that it's an old tram. They have like added new parts to the tram, so the middle part is accessible. There is usually a ramp, manual ramp. If you have a own assistant, of course he or she can help, or the driver comes to help if you need help. So trams are really good, and the buses as well. The buses, I think all the buses in Helsinki at the moment are accessible. There is a manual ramp, and again, the driver comes to help you if you don't have your own helper. Sometimes they are not that happy to help, but it's their job, and they come if you ask. And trains, community trains are accessible as well. They are really good. There is a button you can press, and there will be a automatic ramp between the platform and the train, so it's really easy to go around. And the train is also really good because you can use that from the airport to the city center, so it's very easy to use public transport also when you come from the airport.
Yeah, I actually used the train when I came to Helsinki the first time and came like from the airport straight to downtown and went to my accommodation, and it was spectacular. So I mean, the public transportation, I really cannot say enough good things about it in Helsinki. I've only visited twice, so I don't have the full experience like you do, but it sounds like you love it as well, and it's very efficient as a wheelchair user. So that's good to hear your perspective as a local. I mean, if someone is visiting Helsinki, they can definitely use the public transportation, or they could even go with an accessible tour company. I was able to tour with 2 times actually on both trips with Happy Guide Helsinki, and they are a local tour company. They offer wheelchair accessible tours with an adapted van with a lift on it, or you can even just use like public transportation on one of their tours, and they'll guide you around to show you the city. And I think it's definitely worth taking a tour with Happy Guide Helsinki at the beginning of your visit to kind of get a feel for the layout of the city and what all you want to do later on in your stay. And it's really a great tour company. So I would definitely recommend them. And if there are any others that you know of and would like to recommend, we would love to hear them.
There are also some accessible bus tours in Helsinki that you can do. And then also boat tours during the summer that there's also an access. I haven't tested myself that how easy it is, but they have a ramp to enter. So I believe it's also something because the archipelago, it's quite different to see the city from the sea. So it gives a completely different perspective to the city, but also a very nice one, especially if there's a nice weather and so on. But yeah, there are a few tours that are accessible. And also actually just going around with the tram, like a local tram, is quite a popular and easy way because they usually do around like a circular route, not all of them, but some of the routes. And so then you can also have a bit of an idea of the city and go a bit outside of the city center.
Awesome. Yeah, we have some more viewers tuning in also. So thank you all for watching. It looks like we have a comment for you, Sanna. My mom, of course.
Thank you.
Michaela also has a question for you. How is the accessibility of, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that.
Seurasaari. Yeah, that's one of the islands in Helsinki. You don't need to take the ferry to go that island. There is a bridge to the island. It's quite accessible. There are a few quite steep hills, so it might be some parts might be a bit tricky for manual wheelchair users. But for example, electric wheelchair user, I use electric wheelchair, so I manage there pretty well, and it's a very beautiful place. Yeah.
And Seurasaari is actually an open-air museum, so there are these old wooden houses that were brought to the island from different parts of Finland and represent different styles. But those are like original houses from 1700s, 1800s. Actually, the oldest one I think is even 1600s. So those are not accessible, unfortunately, to enter. But you can see them from outside and read the stories, and so it's the island itself, which is nature-wise really beautiful, is accessible, but the museum that is on the island and the museum houses are unfortunately not. But it's quite understandable because they kept the original idea is to keep them in original shape, and in those times, of course, the times were different.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like I need to definitely add that to the itinerary the next time that I'm in Helsinki. It sounds like a fun place and accessible. So yeah, good to know about that.
Yeah, you still have lots to see.
Yeah, there are plenty.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit about, I mean, whenever you're traveling, I think one of the most important things to book and look at first is hotels and accommodation options. So on Handiscover.com, we have quite a few really great accessible hotels. And the first one I would love to talk about, it's the Scandic Posse Hotel. It is in central Helsinki and next to the Congress Center, actually. So it's also nestled by a bay, and it's a brand new hotel. It just opened, I think, a few years ago, and it looks like a very modern, beautiful design. I'm loving the bed here with the hearts, and it looks like a Hoyer lift could also roll under the bed easily, or a hoist. And they also have rooms with roll-in showers. And another hotel, the last hotel I want to mention, is the Hotel St. George in Helsinki. And it's a member of the Design Hotels, and it's located also in the city center. And it faces a part of the city called the Old Church Park. So it looks like very modern, beautifully designed. I'm loving this whole design of this hotel, and no wonder, because it's actually a member of the Design Hotels. So of course it has a good design. But do you guys know anything about these hotels, and would you like to talk about them for a moment?
The first one you mentioned, Scandic Pasi, I have visited there once. It's really nice. They have like team rooms, like a circus team is one of the teams. It's a bit different kind of hotel. It's not like like the ordinary hotel. It's really nice and very accessible. Yes.
Awesome. Good to know.
And actually, this is a nice combination that I've been in the other hotel. It's actually the only hotel I've ever been in a staycation in Helsinki. So the St. George, it was really recently opened, and it has a nice bit of artistic vibe on it. And this old church park, it's also very kind of a central location with a lot of art galleries around it. So the art goes from inside the hotel, also the neighborhood and it's also part of the design district of Helsinki. So it's a very nice one, and there's very lovely interiors, and some of the top floors also have beautiful views and nice balconies on some of the rooms.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I was able to go through the design district on my trips, and it's a beautiful area. Lots of really great shops and restaurants and all kinds of fun stuff. I think Helsinki is a really fun city for design and creativity. So that sounds like a wonderful area to stay in during a
Yeah,
visit.
definitely. Yeah, design district, actually, it's one of the biggest design areas in Nordics and in actually in the whole world, where there's like hundreds of shops from that design district, and it turned 15 years this year. So
Oh,
so it's been there for some while, and they've been doing a nice collaboration and to boost the Finnish design.
yeah, awesome. And now that we've talked a lot about transportation, hotels, outdoor experiences, let's talk about some of the indoor experiences in Helsinki. There are some really great museums. There's quite a few great churches that are just beautiful to look at from the outside and the inside. And so, Sanna, do you want to start us out with some of your favorite indoor experiences?
One of my new favorites is Mall of Tripla. It's the new shopping center,
Oh,
very big mall. It's in Pasila, just 5 minutes from the city center by train. That's one of my favorites because there are shops and very good restaurants and movie theater and lots of different kinds of activities. So that's one. But yeah, we have lots of great museums. My favorite one is Helsinki City Museum, which is located um, just like in what I'm saying in the city center. It's the admission fee it's free to go there, so it's very good thing, and it tells you about the history of Helsinki.
awesome. Yeah, that sounds good. And also, I want to talk about some of the churches. So there is, of course, the Helsinki Cathedral, which is, I think, the most iconic landmark in Helsinki. It's on every postcard, and it's also possible to even go inside as a wheelchair user. So if you can see that photo right there, there are steps at the front. But if you go toward the back, there is an accessible entrance with an elevator. And so I was able to go inside. It's beautiful, definitely worth seeing the inside. But I think the most unique church in Helsinki is, of course, the Rock Church. It is absolutely beautiful, unlike any other church in the world, and definitely worth seeing from the inside. From the outside, it doesn't look like anything too spectacular, but as soon as you go inside, it'll just blow you away, and definitely worth seeing. And then one more I would say, and then we'll hear from Leena, is the Old Market Hall. I'm always a big fan of going to different markets, and I think it's a good way to get a taste of like the local culture and try local foods and meet local people. So markets are always a lot of fun for me, and the Old Market Hall is just spectacular. There's so many different food options to try. When I visited in February, actually, I was able to try the Runeberg tart, which is apparently, I think it's like only available in like January, February. So it's a special dessert, and it's delicious. And I got my favorite Runeberg tart from the Old Market Hall right there. So if you're going to be in there in January or February, definitely try that out while you're in Helsinki. And Leena, do you want to tell us about some of your favorite indoor experiences?
Yeah, and it's actually nice that it's my three choices are completely different from yours, so we get create kind of a nice combination. So I would first say that the new central library, which is right next in the city center next to the railway station, it's Audi called, and it's, even though it's just like a library, but it has free entrance for everyone. It's also very accessible. It was opened just 2 years ago. It was kind of a gift for the for all citizens of Finland for the 100-year anniversary of Finland. And it has 3 different floors that are all different from one another with different functions. My favorite is the top floor, which is kind of the so-called book heaven, and it has also a big balcony with the cafe on it, where you can see the Parliament building, the music hall, and also Töölö Bay. So that's a very nice place to visit, to get to know also Finnish modern contemporary architecture. So it was designed by Finnish architects, ALA architects. Then I'm a very big fan of museums and art. So my other choices are 2 art museums. Other one is Amos Rex, that was actually opened the same year as Audi in 2018. And it was built underground, but it's with a very good, easy access. And even actually the lift is a special one with, you can hear different sound effects and light even there. So it's quite very like 360 experience. And they have very different kind of exhibitions. The next one is about ancient, like ancient Egypt art, like the glory of Egypt. But and then the third one would be an bit older one, home museum called Dietrichson Art Museum. They made a renovation a few years ago, so that now it has a better access to improve the accessibility, to take all the stairs away and create ramps and so, and also lift to downstairs. So there is still the residential wing as left in the original shape, so that you can get to know Finnish architecture from 1950s. But then there's also great art exhibitions of different styles. So now there's actually just opening a big exhibition of Van Gogh. So those are my 3 choices.
Yeah, awesome. I've not visited any of those yet, so even more reasons for me to come back next year, hopefully. And one more indoor attraction I did want to recommend is the Comfy Chapel of Silence. I was able to visit in August, and it is just beautiful design from the outside. It looks like a bowl. And then when you go inside, it's really just a place to kind of reflect and take a deep breath and just a moment of silence in the middle of the city. So it's a beautifully designed, and I really loved it. So I wanted to briefly mention that as well.
Yeah, it's really unique. Like those churches you mentioned. They are also.
Yeah, you guys really go above and beyond with like the churches and the chapels, I feel like. So it's incredible just to visit them all. And a question for both of you. Why do you think Helsinki is a great place to visit when planning a getaway? Why should someone visit Helsinki?
I can start. So, well, I think Helsinki it's a city with its own character, and it's a very human-sized city. So it's kind of you can find so many things. It's a city of different contrasts. You can find all the city culture, urban life, museums, great quality of and different kind of restaurant with high quality food. But then on the other hand, there's a lot of nature. There are all the islands, there's the sea, and we have like 130 kilometers of seashore. So there's the contrast of to have the city vibe, but then also the calmness and to calm down with the nature. And that's personally, I love living in Helsinki, and those are kind of the reasons why I enjoy it so much. And I think it's for visitors, it's also very nice because all the services are actually made for locals, and but also for all the visitors. But they aren't really like touristic places. So wherever you go, you meet the locals as well, and you can quite easily interact at the end with the locals when you start discussing. Most of the people speak English, and you can ask questions. People actually are very happy to answer, and so you can get the kind of the sense of the city and the city vibe. So, and it also keeps changing, as you mentioned already before, that you have had 2 quite different experiences as you visited the city for the first time in January, February, in winter season, and then in the summer. So it's also quite different from different seasons. So you can visit the city several times and always discover something new because the rhythm of life keeps changing. So
yeah, absolutely. And Sanna, same question for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. Everything that Leena already said, and I like we have tourists, of course, but Helsinki is not that crowded if you compare to many other capitals. So I like the calmness Helsinki has, our nature, the poor air. Even if we are in the capital, it's very like the air is very clean and poor in Helsinki, and I like that. We have great hotels, we have great restaurants, great cafes, and I like the fact that Helsinki. The city center is quite compact. It's quite small, so it's very easy to walk or roll around. You don't necessarily need to take public transport, for example. If the weather is good, you can just walk or go with a wheelchair from place to place. I like that.
Yeah, that sounds great, and I'm glad that you mentioned the air quality, because every time that I'm in Helsinki or even like Scandinavia in general, I feel like the air quality, I mean, it's just so easy to breathe and it seems so clean. And Helsinki in general is a very clean city, I feel like. So it's beautifully designed and very clean, worth exploring for sure. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that. And a question for Leena: what is Visit Helsinki doing to improve or showcase accessibility overall? Are there any kind of like unique initiatives that you want to talk about that Visit Helsinki is doing?
Well, we actually, our company name changed a few years ago from Visit Helsinki, that we do general Helsinki marketing. So we are Helsinki marketing now, but it's fine. Visit Helsinki is kind of easy and to recognize. And but so we collaborate with the city organization. There's a lot that the city of Helsinki has been doing in many years. So the very first already city the city of Helsinki accessibility plan was done over 15 years ago, and there has been so many different projects to improve accessibility in many different ways, and the construction of houses or public spaces for the traffic, public transport, and so on. So there's been a lot of different projects to improve the accessibility. Two of the very recent examples are that there's been this new web content accessibility guidelines that are now went viral, all that to improve the accessibility in digital services this autumn. So all the websites and the official ones must be accessible, so that there are proper contrast, there's the proper information of pictures and so on, so that everyone with different kind of disabilities can get the information that's needed. And then there's also a lot of different kind of projects all over in Helsinki, but one that actually was launched this week were these audibility maps, so that people with hearing difficulties can plan their visits easier, so that they know where they can best hear, for example, in theaters or different places. And that service is now, it was launched, and they are searching for more information, but already you can, for example, find the audibility maps of the Opera of Helsinki, the National Opera, and the City Theatre. So there are different initiatives all the time, and it's kind of in the DNA from the beginning to whenever you do something new, it has to be there. And then at the same time, we are trying to make also the places, restaurants, and so on that are in older buildings are already existing for longer accessible. So yeah, trying to improve all the time.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's really good to know. And it's great that, a capital city for a country is really focused on improving accessibility and, getting into the spotlight. The first time that I visited was part of the Helsinki Secret Residence. And I thought it was amazing that, Helsinki really cared so much to showcase accessibility, to bring in an accessible travel blogger and do that. And you guys really went above and beyond for me as far as showcasing the city and its accessible offerings. And so, I fully agree. Helsinki marketing is doing a phenomenal job. So thank you so much from all of us for sure.
Well, thank you. I feel kind of embarrassed almost, but of course there's a lot to improve, but it's lovely to hear that you really enjoyed your stay and were able to make the most out of it. So that's really nice.
Yeah, it's been amazing, and I can't wait to get back. And now For, I guess, the last couple of questions, so very quickly, Sanna, if you could only recommend 3 things to do for a wheelchair user that's coming to Helsinki, what would be the 3 things? They only have 1 day in the city, so they can't see a whole lot, so 3 quick things.
Only 1 day. Well, then I should focus on the city center and those churches you mentioned, the Rock Church and the Helsinki Cathedral, yes, and the market square, and you mentioned the old market. So that's in that area, so it's easy to go there as well at the same time. And the shoreline, maybe one of the islands. Yeah, Suomenlinna or Vallisaari, or there are many nice islands. So maybe one of those.
Yeah. Okay. And Leena, what are 3 attractions that you would recommend if somebody only had a day?
Well, I would also go for Suomenlinna because I think then you can see the Helsinki from the sea, and that's actually kind of the panoramic view of Helsinki. Is that the classical picture where you can see the market square and everything? It's taken from the sea, so and I think it's very beautiful to see also Helsinki from the sea. So it's just taking the boat to Suomenlinna and come back. It's already worth doing that, and then of course also visiting the island itself. Then I would definitely also visit the Amos Rex Art Museum. I think it's a lovely new place and it has really interesting exhibitions. And then also it's important to have something for different kind of senses. So also to go for the old market hall and have a really round and taste local flavors. So I love licorice. I don't know how much you maybe love it or not. I also love the salty licorice, salmiakki, that I make people taste. And I always say that you can spit it out if it's too strong for you. I love it personally. It's just delicious. And also then Finnish chocolate and coffee.
Yeah.
Those kind of, and a little bit of salmon there. So there's kind of a different flavors and get to know what we Finns love to eat.
Yeah, absolutely. The coffee in Finland is spectacular, probably the best in the world. And the chocolate is also very, very good, I can attest to. So I would agree with the 3 places. I think Suomenlinna, number 1, absolutely. And the old market hall to get a taste of the city, and then maybe the churches, Helsinki Cathedral and the Rock Church and the Kamppi Chapel of Silence would be my recommendations if you only had a day in the city. And now last question. If you could only choose 1 restaurant to recommend, what restaurant would you choose from?
Well, only one. Oh, that's difficult. One of my favorites, it's a fish restaurant, Fisken på disken. It's in the Kamppi shopping center. Up there, there is a very nice view from the upper floor, and the food is very delicious. So maybe that one. And the service is good and it's very accessible.
Awesome. And Leena?
This is a hard one. If I'm quick, maybe I can say 2. There, I would maybe suggest Savoy. It's a very classical one. I love architecture, and it's designed by the Finnish kind of a father of the Finnish functional style and so on, and also modernism. Alvar Aalto, so he did the interiors, and they're kind of left untouched, more or less. It was renovated recently, but very much respecting the traditional way how it has been. So the original furniture are still there. And so Savoy, it's in the city center, also with a beautiful terrace. And they also, during the renovation, I checked, they took the accessibility even in better consideration, so that it's easier access now, and there's you can access with wheelchair as well. So that would be one. But then also Löyly, which is by the seashore, a bit lower, because Savoy it's kind of more expensive one. Löyly would be very easy access by the seashore and place to hang out, have a burger or a salmon soup. So,
yeah, awesome. Yeah, those sound delicious. I'm getting hungry talking about them. My mom commented, and she wants some of the baked treats again. So, yeah, the first time we came, Sanna made us all kinds of baked goods, and it was delicious. So, definitely need some of those again. But yeah, thank you both so much for joining me. It's really been a pleasure. And Sanna, can you tell everyone where they can find you online?
Okay, yeah, my blog is called Palmuasema, and my Instagram, maybe that's easier for English speaking people as well. That's called Sanna.Kalmari. So you can find me easily from Instagram.
All right, yeah, thank you. And Leena, where can people go to learn more about accessibility in Helsinki?
Yes, so you can go to our website to get inspired by Helsinki. So it's called myhelsinki.fi. So there you can find a lot of information on coming to Helsinki just for traveling or for business or even to planning to come here to live. So you can find a lot of information and inspiration from our websites, myhelsinki.fi.
Alrighty, yeah, thank you both so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun talking about Helsinki with you, and I can't wait to come back. I'm going to be like looking at flights later today, and I'm like already dreaming of it. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you again in Helsinki.
Yeah, thanks. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. And if you are looking for accessible accommodations, be sure to go to handiscover.com and search for accommodations in Helsinki. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll be live again in a couple weeks, and we'll bring you more information about that soon. So I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.